Hi guys, PJ here. Today we are going to be removing the radio from a 2009 BMW 3 Series and also fitting in a new Sony DAB replacement radio. To do that on one of these vehicles, if your car has steering wheel controls like so for the volume and everything, you are going to need a few bits and bobs. A fascia surround, it's like a plastic trim to make the hole in the stereo the right size. The actual wiring adapter to make the steering controls work. Here we have a Autoleads one, which is part number CP2BM52. There's your part number for your fascia, look, FP0606. And also a DAB aerial, which sticks on the windscreen and does require power. You can buy all different versions of these aerials, obviously, just have a look which type of thing you want. First thing you're going to start to do to remove this radio is to get the actual heater area out, okay? You're going to need one of your little plastic pry bars. I'll show you which one. I'll be using this one. It's a Bojo tool as it's called. You can order these on eBay or most car accessory shops have them. You need something like this or similar, preferably plastic. Obviously you don't want to be using anything metal, especially a screwdriver or anything like that, because you will damage the soft trim or the plastic of the fascia. What you got to do with this one is sort of pop it down the side and carefully pop, yeah, and the trim will come off. There's two sort of clips, one here and one on the other side. This side can be a little bit tricky because obviously you've already released one side. There we go, off it comes. And on rare occasion, the very edge of the heater surround, this plastic, can unclip itself. If that's the case, just sort of pop it back together again. You know, don't continue prising if that's the case. Make sure you get it right behind the catchers so you can pop them out, yeah, both sides. So when you're at this position, you've then got to take out the two wiring connectors. They've got a little squeeze plug on top of them. You can see that there. There you go. So when the camera focuses, pop, push that down and then rotate. You can get that working, there we go. That down, yeah, and that comes up and out. He says, come out, there we go. Same with this one. Like I say, you've got a little tab on the top of it that you squeeze down, right on top there, look. Push it down, quite fiddly to do, and then move the lever down like so. That's your heater control. Put that safely out of the way, because obviously you're going to want to put that back again, especially with our lovely British weather that we have, freezing cold all the bloody time. Right, you now reveal underneath, if we can get the camera to focus, it's a bit blurry today for some reason, two Phillips screws, one there, crosshead screws, yeah? Go ahead and remove those. Okay, with both screws now removed, put them safe, obviously to keep them for future use. Put yourself a bit of padding down over the top of your trim there, your silver trim. Bit of cardboard will do, anything just to stop it getting scratched, because the rear of the radio is steel, so it will scratch when it drops down. Grab the bottom off of your radio and give it a pull, like so. Drop it down onto your pad, look, like so, and at the back, quite a tight one this one, come here, cable. You've got basically a lever arm, so pinch it and rotate, and out it comes. And then for the aerial, you've got a fascia aerial connector. It's got a little push thing on the side, squeeze it in, and again pull. So once it squoze in, you can pop the aerial connector off. There you go, it just literally pulls straight off. Move your radio out of the way, put that away safely. You never know, if you sell the car, you might want to replace it back again, so it's always handy to have. Don't forget to eject your CD before you do that. This particular car, I've just had to plug the damn thing back in again and eject the CD. But anyway, now you have this, okay? So if you're just removing your radio, you can stop the video at this point, you have done. Obviously, if you're refitting one, carry on watching. Now, if you're fitting something really bulky that's got tons and tons of wiring coming out the back, or if you're fitting a hands-free kit, what you can do is you actually remove this plastic cage to give yourself some more space. They've got TX20s in the corners, look, yeah? If you unscrew all those, and undo the two little 7mm bolts at the bottom, this entire plastic cage comes out, and you've got bags of room then to put all your gubbins for your hands-free kit or your stereo that's got a lot of wiring. We won't be doing that because we're just fitting a radio. Our next stage is to start plugging bits in. So, moving on to the steering control adapter that we're going to use. This particular one also gives you an ignition switched power supply, an ignition switched feed to your radio. If you are not using one of these, if you just want to plug your radio in and not worry about steering controls, there is a quick way of getting an ignition switched power supply. What you're going to have to do is either go to the fuse box, or you can tap into the wiring that goes to the cigarette lighter. It's not ideal, but it will make your life a lot easier, okay? If you want to do a proper job, obviously go to the fuse box, but all you can do is lift your armrest up, yeah, make sure you do that first, and then basically you can pull this entire silver area up. The whole lot comes up. I won't do it because I don't need to, but you can sort of grab hold of it underneath, yeah, or put a plastic leverage tool underneath and pull it up and out, yeah. Just move your gear lever back so you've got a little bit more room, and you can follow the wires back from the cigarette lighter, and it's sort of on a white block connector here. You can tap into the power supply from that and then obviously run it up and out your dashboard. Use proper bullet connector or solder into it. Make sure you do a decent job of it, or failing that, like I say, go to the fuse box on the vehicle. That is only if you are not going to use one of these wiring adapters, because this has it built in. If you're unsure about any of this, seek professional advice. You know, go pay somebody to do the job if you're uncertain about what you're doing. It saves any damage to your car and any injury to yourself. Okay. Right, so moving on. We have little dip switches on the side of this. Now, they should be pre-configured already for the BMW. Okay, this one being an E92. So it is already configured. Now, the ones on the end here are for the make of the radio. Yeah, we are doing Sony. So as you can see, Sony is 3 up and 1 down. Okay, nice and simple. These ones over here for the vehicle are already configured out of the box, which match that one there, exactly the same. Then you go ahead, one end of this, look, it's quite a long thing there, it's got the quad lock adapter on the end of it. So you plug that onto your original car wiring. It's quite tricky to do with one hand. Let's see if we can do it. There we go. So squeeze those together, yeah, and shut the little catch. It should click like so, and that's it. Okay, this connector obviously plugs into the wiring that comes with your new radio, and then on the other end of it you have a blue wire which attaches to some Kenwood radios and stuff. You have to solder or crimp the wire together. Or for our radio, the Sony, it's got a jack plug in the back for the steering remote. We just plug that into the jack plug. A lot of Sonys have a microphone socket as well. Do not accidentally plug it into the microphone socket, otherwise you'll have all sorts of weird problems going on. Make sure you plug it into the steering wheel control socket, normally located on the end of the radio. I'll show you shortly. So now we'll go ahead and fit our fascia trim. So skipping forward slightly, like I just showed you, I've plugged my wiring in, and basically I've got my microphone cable and also my DAB aerial here, which is just popping out down the bottom here. I'm going to run it along the bottom of the glove box and up the window screen there. This is your plastic fascia trim, yeah, so feed your wiring through it like so. Make sure you don't trap anything, and then bring it up to the level. You want your heater wire in there, let me get that out of the way. Bring it up like so, so it sits snugly, look, and then put your screws in that you took out of your stereo. There's one here and one on the other side. Just pop both of those in like so. Both screws are now in, one there and one tucked under there. The next bit you're going to need is the little metal cage that comes with the radio. Okay, you're going to need that part. Basically thread your cables through that like you did for your plastic fascia trim. So we just pop that down, grab your cables, nice and simple, put them all through it so they all fit through. With your wiring all shoved through, line your cage up with the hole, and it should push in like so. Get yourself a little flat blade screwdriver, this sort of size, very tiny one there, and just basically go to the edges and twist so it bends the metal tabs behind the plastic trim. This will hold this cage into place. You don't need to go mad, just do sort of 4 or 5 of them. There we go. A couple top and bottom as well if you want. That's now securely in. Okay, now the next bit, you're going to want the wiring that came with the radio, this piece, and it quite literally plugs onto the end of here. So next up, we're going to be running our DAB aerial up the side here and also our microphone. To do that, you have to pop this end panel off using your pry tool. Do not disconnect the airbag switch. You will get a warning light on the dashboard if you do that. Just sort of pop it out, yeah, the whole trim will come out. Pull the rubber seal out from the edge of the door jamb here and run your aerial up and down. I'll show you when it's done. To get the cable in underneath the passenger footwell, if you look underneath where your courtesy light is, there's 2 screws, one here TX20 and one on the other side. Undo both of those and you can sort of pull this down and run all your cabling all the way along it. So if our cabling ran across the bottom and then up the side here, yeah, and then up through to the pillar, yeah, tuck behind the rubber seal there, and then across and down. Your aerial for your dab is sticky. This is a sticky backed aerial, sticks onto the glass. Yours may vary depending which sort of type you go for. The little black section here has a copper strip on it which needs to be earthed. These pillars unclip, just be mindful there is an airbag behind it and there's a clip here that holds it in, okay? They sort of pop off. Be very careful. I mean, I normally don't remove them all the way off. Just scrape a bit of the paint off or sand a bit of paint off and stick your copper tab to it to earth the aerial, and then run both the aerial cable and the power cable to it down the edge. The one remaining cable we've got is the microphone, which I'm just going to pop up here on the mirror, and it tucks up underneath here. So we'll be getting the cable and tucking it up under the headlining, leaving the microphone on top of the mirror in the middle. Okay, so we'll move back to the radio itself now. We're going to need a aerial adapter. You have a fascia aerial here, yes, and the aerial adapter I'm using is this one by Autoleads and it's part number PC5111. Simply plugs into the end here, which will go ahead and click it, just push fit, yeah, on the end of it you have your normal aerial. Now moving to the back of the radio, your normal aerial goes in said socket here, and you've also got some other connectors. You've got your main power and speaker feed connector which plugs straight into there, yeah, and on the edge here you've got the blue cable which is a plug. This is for your steering controls that I was on about earlier. Now the little wiring adapter that we've got with a little box attached to it, that has got the jack plug on the end, and this quite simply plugs into here. Do not get it mixed up with your microphone. This one comes with a microphone, this radio, and your microphone has also got a jack plug on the end. That does not go in there, okay? Do plug it in, you'll have all sorts of problems. The microphone goes into its own little connector which says mic on it, funnily enough, just there. Amazing how many people get the two swapped around and then they'll switch the radio on and it's doing all weird things. So microphone in there, steering control in there, okay? Plug all that in. With everything now plugged into its corresponding socket, we have our steering control, microphone, dab aerial and normal aerial. We've also patched in the power for the dab aerial, goes to the blue wire, which is like the electric aerial output on your radio. Just basically splice that in using a bullet connector or solder it, whichever. And now you want to go ahead and put your trim back together, you know, pop that back up and put the two screws in it, one each side. And your end panel that you took off, just tap it on, you know, it pushes on. And then obviously put all your rubber seal back on up here. We can then push the stereo into the hole, tidy all the cabling up, tape it all up so it's neat and tidy. Shove it all back into the hole there, put your hand underneath if need be to sort of pull it down, and then we'll go ahead and test the stereo. So with everything plugged in, as we are now, don't forget to pop your trim back up and put your two screws in each side. As for your end trim panel, it just taps on. It's on like a little soffit connector. You just bash it and it goes in. And then run obviously your beading back down again. Go ahead now and put the radio in. Pull all the cables through from underneath if you want. So, you know, give yourself some space. Tape them together if need be. So get the stereo halfway in. Don't click it in fully locked. Get it to this far in. That far in, yeah, so it doesn't lock in. Or your cabling normally tucks down the left hand corner there. Look, you can sort of see it and put your hand in and pull it a little bit if need be. Right, get your key and put your ignition on and see if the stereo comes to life. So ignition on, yes it does, brilliant. And then tune in a random station, let it initialise its DAB radio and see if your steering controls work. The radio station tuned in, this is a DAB radio station. Go ahead and check your steering controls work, which these ones clearly do. There we go. That's, like I say, using the correct adapter to get those working will help you out no end, because it also gives you that switched power feed. Alright, you can now go along and shove your stereo into lock position, re-put your heater in. Re-putting the heater in is the reverse of taking it out. Just put both your wiring connectors back on, flip the little lever back over to lock them. Line your little lugs up at the side here, you got your little clips, look, and then sort of give it a click. There we go, that's pushed in and done. Same with the radio, put it into lock position, shove it back and it'll click. There we go, that's now locked into place. And that is how you fit a radio on a BMW 3 Series. If you've got any questions at all, drop them in the comments below. It can be any car from a Ford Focus to a Bentley. I've worked on everything for years, so it's not a problem. I'll try and answer you the same day. And obviously bear in mind, if this is, a little bit tricky for yourself, consult a professional, pay to have it done professionally. They are insured. If they break your car, obviously the car gets repaired. If you hurt yourself, again, they're insured. Take it to a professional if you're unsure. And by that, obviously, I mean held in no way responsible or liable for any damage or injury that may occur from you following this guide. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.